Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com and by RockAuto.com. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Thank you, Alec Webb, and welcome everyone to our MotorWeek podcast number 126. We're here in Studio C at MotorWeek World Headquarters. Around our oddly shaped table is our road test producer, Ben Davis.
Also oddly shaped.
And assistant producer, Greg Carlos.
Hey.
Our writer, Patrick Lucas.
Hey now.
And Patrick also produces the podcast. And our over-the-edge reporter, Zach Maskell, who's granted us his appearance today. I gave him a hard time because he's hard to track down.
Quite the intro. I
there
like
you
it.
go.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about lots of stuff. We have a lightning round, a viewer question. We can rant and rave about a few things, but we're going to start off sort of patting ourselves on the back. This is the beginning of the 35th season for MotorWeek on television. That is a remarkable achievement. I'm the only one at the table who was around at the beginning, but I'm happy to say that everyone around this table has played a big part in putting together our celebration, which is a very fast-paced 30-minute program. Looking back and hopefully poking a little fun at some of the cars we thought were great in the past, some of the adventures we thought were less memorable than others, how cars have changed, all a little bit tongue-in-cheek. But let me put the question to you. The four of you sitting around the table, you've been with the show various times. Talk about how long you've been with the show and what, if anything, significant you've seen change just since you've been here. Now, Ben, you've been here with us the longest.
Yeah, I've started in 2001, and as technology's increased, definitely the use of GoPros has taken us a long way. And now with DSLRs and float cam and everything, I guess just the shots have gotten a whole lot more interesting, and there's a whole lot more for the editors to put together. That's basically the most impactful thing I've noticed.
Thing. Yeah. Well, and I should point out that Ben's responsible for a lot of that. Back in the early days, people say, how's the show changed? I said, well, when we did the first season, the average road test, about 5 minutes, the same as it is now. We might have had 17 to 20 shots in that 5 minutes. Yeah. Now, a few years ago, we were up to around 45 shots for that 5 minutes. I'm not even sure what the number is today. It's got to be close to 60 because we're using GoPros and the DSLRs to do very, very, very quick insert stuff to keep the editing lively.
That's pretty awesome.
And that's something that we're very, very proud of. What do you think, Greg? You've been with the show almost, I'm not sure. You and Zach, I guess, have both been
3 years.
3 years. Zach, how long have you been with the show?
Almost 3 years.
Okay. So, see anything change since you've been here? Or if not, what do you like the best?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed some changes. I mean, even within what Ben was talking about, just the technology that we've kind of, and that's a testament to you. I mean, you see some of the stuff that we bring up, and GoPros and DSLRs. It's good that you can kind of allow us to do these things
exciting.
And change things up. Yeah, I mean, we're doing all kinds of different shots and things that wouldn't normally make it into a road test before, but it's just the experimentation has really kind of allowed us to be more creative even in the last couple of years.
I think what people love the most about MotorWeek is that the formula remains pretty much the same, and that is the reason that they tune in. However, now they're just being a little bit more – we're throwing more stuff at them throughout the entire show, as far as the drone shots go or, a certain – just things that, they wouldn't expect to see. So, it's constantly changing, and it's for the good. So.
How about you, Patrick?
I have just seen within the last couple of years, like Zach and Greg, I've been here about 3 years, the amount of freedom that you have given us, we're stepping into the online world.
I'm feeling the love here.
Well, I know what I mean. On the back YouTube, Twitter, and stuff like that. You kind of let us be, quirky, weird, kind of dumb, have fun. But at the same time, we stick to the core MotorWeek formula, and I think hopefully people
thank you.
That.
That's that was very kind comments. We
Literally
do
pat yourselves on the back.
We do. I think the secret of the program, and several of you hit on it, is that we try to make sure that our audience gets the latest information about the newest cars in the most detailed manner that you can do on television. But at the same time, we try and have some fun with it. And a lot of the new technology, like the small cameras, have really enabled us to do that in a big way. And I have to say, some very creative editors. The unsung heroes in this whole business are the men and women that sit there at those boards night after night staring at those screens and make our pictures, put them together and make them come alive. Like putting together Frankenstein. They make it live. All right, enough of that. Catch our anniversary show. If you don't see it when it first goes out, we'll be repeating it during the year. And also, all of the pieces will live on YouTube forever. I want to talk about a car that almost, at least the name of it, has been around almost forever, at least for 50 years. The 2016 Shelby GT350 Mustang. Ben, you're the only one that has driven it. It's an awesome-looking car. I was there when it was unveiled. Does it live up to the hype?
It does. I didn't think a Mustang could get better than the Boss 302 that we had a few years ago.
It's a wonderful car.
Yeah, everything about that car was awesome. This car was insane. Insane. After having just driven the GT convertible that we had recently, I was expecting a lot, but I was still expecting some looseness to be in there and some wandering. But I got there, I got on Laguna Seca, and that car is 100% nailed down. The feedback is exactly what you want. The heft, the weight, the way the car, at its limits, the way it just calmly kind of shifts left and right, giving you complete control. It's completely inspiring. You feel like a pro race car driver driving that thing. And it sounds awesome. It feels awesome. It just exudes awesomeness.
So if you had one word to describe this,
it would be. Well, I'm getting to that one word. A bargain at the price they're asking. It's a bargain.
2 words. Awesome bargain.
You know, one of the things that Ford has managed to do now with the high-performance Mustangs, more so than I think any other domestic manufacturer, and I'm not sure there's anybody else that I can put in this class, they actually managed, with the Boss, you mentioned that one, and they've done it again with this GT350, to make every part of that car work perfectly with every other part. Would you agree with that?
They definitely they hammered that down on the GT350. They mentioned that during the briefing, every other sentence, that every part was harmonious, and if it wasn't, then it wasn't on the car. So yeah, I agree. Magna-Ride suspension's on there now, so just think about that.
Is this car like dialed in like a 911's dialed in, or is this dialed in like a pony car's? Actually, as a pony car can be.
It's fair to compare it to a 911. I did in my head, or to a Porsche for sure, maybe a Cayman or something. But it's got that kind of inner aura and chi to it that it's as dialed in on the track as a Porsche is.
Well, you know, they always
really felt connected to this thing.
For decades, they always claim, Mustang, best-selling sports car in the world, or whatever it was, and I always said that's bull. You know, this is not what you traditionally call a sports car, but this one apparently is.
It didn't feel like a pony car. Yeah. It didn't feel entry level. It felt exotic.
What about the difference between the R and just the 350? I mean, are you walking away from the after driving both?
Right.
Could you find yourself going to a dealer and being happy with just getting the 350, or you feel the R is what you need?
That's a hefty price difference between the two, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a price difference. I got 3 laps in each car on Laguna Seca. The first one was the GT350, so I was just kind of getting warmed up to the track on that before they put me in the R. So naturally, the R felt a lot better. But yeah, I would feel completely fine with the GT350. It's only 120 pounds lighter with a track pack.
And that's more of a daily. I mean, if you want to call it a daily driver, it's one you can be more happy with on the street, right? Because the 350R is like,
well, no, it's the same. It's the same
territory.
Well,
right?
It's the same engine though. It's the same engine and transmission in each car. So as far as drivability, each car was perfectly fine on the street. I mean, you would think, you hear a lot that the flat plane crank is going to idle wildly and it's not going to be a daily, but it's 100% a daily driver. No problem at all. With the GT350R, I know they delete a lot of things like AC in a rear seat, and you have to kind of buy that stuff back. There's a package you can get, gives you AC back and stuff. It's definitely for the more hardcore. But, I mean, if you're going to track it, yeah, the R is worth it. If you're not going to track it,
or if you're going to collect it, the R is worth it.
True story.
What do
True story.
carbon fiber wheels feel like?
That scares me a
please
little.
describe.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. They look awesome. They're about half the weight of the comparable wheel in aluminum. They were 18 pounds apiece. To be honest, I couldn't. I'm not that awesome that I felt a difference between the two wheels. But yeah, it's cool. How awesome is it to say you have carbon fiber wheels?
Unsprung weight.
That's the next level. I mean, somebody topped that in a pony car.
Now we're going to change completely. We're going to go from the GT350 to the Mazda CX-3. And I don't know, folks. This is, we pride ourselves in being able to keep everything on a level plane, but this is one transition that's going to be kind of tough.
I feel bad for it.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, not for the car, but just that it had to follow
It had to follow the
GT350,
GT. We
yeah.
probably should have done the other order. Okay, CX-3. The prevailing, the big market, growing market for all of these subcompact crossovers. We've talked about a lot of them on recent podcasts and on recent shows. How does this small Mazda crossover measure up, and did it measure up to your expectations?
I think that having it here, directly next to a Honda HR-V, was not
a good idea.
Was not doing it any favors.
Much like having it follow a GT350
right, exactly.
on a
I
podcast.
thought that the load floor was way too high. The hatch, when you open the hatch, the ceiling isn't very tall, so there's not a lot of actual usable storage space, unlike the HR-V, which was a little better. Same with the back seats, not as much leg room. The interior was more comfortable and easier to use and live with, I would imagine, but it kind of felt, I don't know why I got rubbed the wrong way, but it kind of felt like just like a Me Too kind of car. Like, hey, we're doing this too. We're in the small crossover segment too. I don't know.
Quite a few people have said that they felt like they didn't really need this vehicle. That with the Mazda 3 itself being such a competent car, that maybe this was like, okay, some executive thought they needed this vehicle, but the market really doesn't need it. I don't know. I didn't dislike it as much as some of you guys did. I got in it and felt very comfortable in it and thought this was a nice little small SUV. I do like the HR-V, though, a lot, so I agree with that as well. But I felt it had a sportiness that the HR-V doesn't have.
Absolutely. On the track, it carved through the cones. It was pretty neutral. No oversteer, no understeer. It felt great. Shifted great. No CVT there.
I'd like to compare it.
Shifts. The brakes left.
We talked about the Q3 on an earlier program. I kind of thought the driving situation was fairly similar.
Yeah, it's an attainable
decent
performance.
Steering feel in there, right? And
especially when you're
that
rocking
along
through
with
the
like
cones.
35 miles per gallon.
It's a Mazda, so that's what you're getting when you buy a Mazda. You want that driving experience, which is cool. And I like that in the other Mazdas. The thing that separated it from, say, like a 6 or a 3 was I didn't find myself as comfortable. I never got comfortable in that car. And I know that it's supposed to be a little bit more stiff riding. It's supposed to be a little bit harsher than, like, say, a Camry or an Accord. But I felt like it was just a little bit too over the top in this specific usage. So I understand the vehicle. I just didn't think the execution was all that good.
Now, here's the problem. When you get into these subcompact size crossovers, you know who your real competition is? It's a Volkswagen Golf. Because the Volkswagen Golf drives better. You still sit relatively high. You have more interior room. It's like every time I get into anything that's really small with a hatch, I come back to the Golf.
The Golf is nice.
And that, because you can get everything you need on a crossover on a Golf. So it's so nice. I think if you're into the Mazda shtick and you like their styling and you like their sporty handling, and especially when you're trying to compare its handling to, say, an Audi Q3, I think the CX-3's got its place. But I have to say, as a whole, I don't think it impressed us as much as we thought it would.
Left some to be desired.
Like. But a nice vehicle, a good addition to the Mazda clan anyway. And I think if they didn't have it, we would probably be criticizing them for leaving that niche open. All right, let's move on now to our lightning round. Our panelists have 2 minutes to debate trending automotive topics. When time's up, they're going to hear Patrick and the bell. Okay, we mentioned this on an earlier podcast. Ford has teased, rumored, and basically now talking with the United Auto Workers about bringing out back the once we called compact, now midsize Ford Ranger small pickup truck. There's already a new Tacoma. There's the resurrected Colorado and Canyon. We hear there's going to be a Wrangler pickup truck. Is Ford too late? Is the trend of getting back into the midsize pickup truck market a temporary one, or does it have some real staying power this time? Anybody got a comment?
I don't see it happening.
I don't think Ford's too late necessarily. They have some awesome engines that would drop right into that truck and make it definitely probably the, dare I say, leader of that.
What would they what would they put in that one? I mean,
well, they got several four-cylinder turbos.
EcoBoost.
Would they put the 2.7 V6 that's in the F-150? Because that would be like a powerhouse in the Ranger. I mean, that would destroy.
Or even a derivative, even the Focus RS motor.
The global market engines. I mean, they've got a 4.6, and I think there's even a diesel globally. I mean, this vehicle's been on sale now for 2 years worldwide.
If they want to make a splash, I would recommend putting a diesel in it. That's something that the Tacoma doesn't have.
No pun intended. They used to make a Ranger Splash. Remember
that?
Yeah, okay.
Zach, you started to say something on the other end.
Oh, I don't know. I just feel like that has kind of left. I think if you're going to get a truck, you're probably going to go with the F-150 or.
But one of the reasons they say that Ford's doing this is because F-150 and Silverado and all the rest of the full size, their transaction prices now are getting into the $40,000 and low $50,000 range.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that can't afford that.
Yeah, when you hear the base prices of these trucks, it sounds appealing. But when you see a base model truck, I mean, you've got roll-up windows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've got nothing in there.
I would love to see some F-150 styling in a smaller mid-size kind of package. I think that would be a really sharp-looking small
cool,
pickup
yeah.
truck.
What if they had a Raptor version of the Ranger?
Sign
You got me all
up for that.
excited
That'd be
over
cool.
here.
Yeah, I mean, especially if the thing could tow well. That was probably one of the main complaints with the old six-cylinders was that it just didn't have enough towing.
Well, the old engines, which they had a 3 and a 4-liter V6, and I've got the 4-liter V6, it's okay, but it sucks gas and it doesn't tow that well.
Right.
Yeah. But I love my Ranger. I've got like an 03, and I wish they were still making a new one, and I'm kind of excited about it.
Ford could do an all-aluminum mid-size pickup truck. How about that?
Well, that's why apparently they claim now, in hindsight, that's why they didn't bring the new Ranger here, is because it wouldn't have gotten as good a fuel economy as the all-aluminum F-150.
Wow.
But if this truck is going to get redesigned in 2018 when it's supposed to come here, suppose they did put an aluminum body on it. That could knock the pickup truck market on its ear.
Yeah,
But would that bump up the price, though? I mean, would that put it up above?
Well, yeah, that's possible, I guess. But so far, it hasn't seemed to really hurt the F-150 sales very much.
But we will say it'd be cool.
Yep, it would be cool.
Shall it happen?
That's going to be
a great wrap-up.
That's going to be a starting point of my rave later.
Viewer question. Gosh, Eric asked a question last time. He's got anher question. I wonder if this is different. This is
I'm going to be totally honest.
That
That was a mistake on my part.
Who is it? It's
I'm
not
gonna
Eric.
have to
The
get
one
back to
who
you on
would
that
have
one.
to be Eric. We're sorry.
We know who you
whoever actually asked this
I'm going
question.
to say his name is Joe. We got a lot of Joes.
Oh,
that
Joe.
write in.
Okay. I have a 2002 Mazda MP. I probably just shouldn't have mentioned that, but I did. I have a 2002 Mazda MPV with 65,000 miles. I have kept the space-saved spare tire properly inflated over the entire years, and I am now wondering at what point in time is the spare tire too old to use? It has never been on the ground. Do I need to purchase a new spare tire because of its age? If Pat Goss was here, he would say you're past it. But the thing is, you got to look at how you're going to use this.
Well, he doesn't use it very much. He's driven it 65,000 miles since
very low
2002.
mileage.
So,
And if you're only going to drive a few miles to where you can get it repaired,
Yeah, keep the speed low.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the thing. If it looks super dry rotted, then don't even think about it.
If it's cracked, if it has any cracks in the sidewall,
most likely it hasn't been exposed to UV at all, so it's probably
but if it's still if it's hot outside and it's getting hot in that car, it's going to heat that thing up and it's going to tear that tire down. There also is an expiration date on all tires.
Yep.
So check that. I don't know if it's on a spare or not, but
I think there is something on there that but there's a good industry standard. I know I've heard Pat talk about, they can get too old. I think Eric, though, or whatever your name is, Joe, the big thing is if you've kept it well maintained and you're only going to use it to get to service and you keep the speeds low, you're not supposed to go over 50 miles an hour with those things anyway, it should be fine. Now, in my younger days, I knew someone that in one lap of America actually did like 8,000 miles on a temporary spare. Oh. But that's not recommended by any stretch of the imagination.
Definitely not.
How much does a spare tire cost? Or a spare wheel and tire?
If you don't get it on the car and it's an option, it can be a couple $100.
It's still not outrageous, though.
But if you had one of these, you could probably go to a junkyard and get something out of a wreck that would fit your car. It's basically just matching up the logo.
As long as that one's not old.
Yeah. Okay, I hope that helps, whatever your name is. Rant Ray.
I get that all the time in the office.
Our rant and rave. Yeah, well, that's about each other. Anybody got something sticking in their craw this week?
Nothing's sticking in my craw. I've got something very good to say. I'm not going to rant. This goes back to the mid-size pickup truck market here. So I left the other day, and I didn't take a press car home. I just felt like driving a personal vehicle. Yeah. And it's an 01 Ford Ranger. It has mechanical windows, mechanical locks. It has a radio and AC, and that's about it. And I can't describe the joy I felt driving that home the other day. It rides pretty terrible. It's loud. And
but you felt connected to it, didn't you?
And it just something about it. The simplicity of a pickup truck that I can just throw stuff in the back. Not particularly worried about like if my keys that are hanging on my pants rub up against it or something like that. Like I said, the mechanical locks. I'm not like fumbling for the fob trying to figure things out. It was just a really, for some reason, just a nice, enjoyable experience driving that home. And I think, that could be a testament to the need for what happened?
Touch your microphone, man. We just got yelled at for that.
That's the bot. It's not like Patrick does.
You're still touching it.
Jeez,
sorry, I'm
going to have to explain that to everybody.
I can't win to you.
But back on point. I'm not touching my microphone. I feel like there's a need for that kind of a pickup truck where it's bass, and you can drive it every day and just forget about it.
But you're right. We have a Ranger at our house, and it's got a fair number of options on it, but it was bought so that we could haul stuff, either mulch or something from Home Depot. It sits there parked most of the time. When you use it, you're using it because you are working around the house or doing something, carrying gas cans, whatever. And as long as it's got a radio, and in my case, the air conditioner works, I don't care.
Very proper workhorse.
A very proper workhorse, and it's decent on gas. When Mahindra, the Indian company, was talking about bringing their pickup truck here about 5-6 years ago, I applauded that because they were talking about $8,000 or $9,000 or $10,000 small pickup truck. I think there's a real market in this country for that. Something very basic.
Beautiful simplicity, though, only really applies to a pickup truck, right? If you gotten like a base,
you're right.
A base sedan with roll down windows,
because it's
stuff
the
like
whole
that.
utility.
You just be like, wow, this car's old and it sucks.
Part of it was like throwing my bags and stuff in the back and just like whatever.
I get it. There's an attitude that you buy into. There's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. I've never rolled my windows up once because I am lazy.
The one person who has not made any comments here is the person who drives around in a car with a lot of manual aspects to it most, and that's Ben. I mean, what do you drive home a lot in your Jeep? And
yeah.
It's got a Wrangler.
There's definitely, I don't like technology. I hate it.
Even though you embrace it every day.
But yeah, when I have to reach for a hand crank, there's the sound, it takes me back. There's smells associated with a car like that, and there's noises, and heat. It's just an overload of the senses that makes me smile.
I can remember when it was a big deal to get the hold of the tool that enabled you to get the hand crank off so you could pull the door face off to work on the inside.
I just had to do that last weekend on an 01 Corolla. It takes that little
special tool to get under there to press it.
Didn't have the special tool. Yeah. I walk in because I wasn't there. I walk in, my dad's got his shirt off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. It was one of the funniest things I saw. And he's trying to pry it out.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Without the tool, it took us forever.
A spring on the back and do it like a V-spring.
Oh, man. Anyway. What a sight it must have been.
Well, that was a good one. Thanks very much for that, I think. But anyway, there's something to be said. This is why people are into the classic car culture. They like that simplicity. Thank you very much, everybody, for being a part of our MotorWeek podcast today. To Ben, Greg, and Patrick, and Zach. And I want to thank you all out there for making MotorWeek a part of your lives for 35 years. It's been great to be with you, and we're going to have a great time during our 35th season. Thanks to our audio engineer, Jim Bigwood. And Jim is the one who didn't want us touching the microphone, only because he was worried about all of you folks being able to hear us clearly, which you were able to. Our podcast creator, Bob Mixter, and, of course, Patrick Lucas, our producer, the guy with the bell. Thanks, everybody. Join us again for more MotorWeek podcasts. Be sure to watch MotorWeek on public television stations and on Velocity. Thanks for just consuming us here at MotorWeek. We do it for you. Till next time.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com and by RockAuto.com. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.